So today's video is going to be all about some of my very favorite bloggers, vloggers, Instagrammers, online content creators that talk about Jesus. I think I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the one that kind of like introduced me to this whole world of talking about Christianity unapologetically on the internet. I've had my YouTube channel for over 4 years now. Talking about Jesus is something that I'm only now sort of starting to get a little bit comfortable with. I've gone to church my entire life. I've been a Christian since I was 4. Technically, that's when I asked Jesus into my heart. I do talk about my faith a lot more on my Instagram, so give me a follow there if you like Jesus vlogs like me. So, I absolutely love listening to podcasts. I fell in love with podcasts when I used to commute an hour and a half one way to school, and that only lasted for 4 months, and honestly, I miss it. I really miss listening to podcasts. I miss listening to books on tape. What am I, 90? Audiobooks. And my favorite podcast has definitely always been, I would say. I was gonna say has become, but it's always been The Happy Hour with Jamie Ivey. I absolutely love her podcast. She basically just like interviews women that she knows. She's done this for years. I think she started in like 2014, so she's got like almost 400 episodes. It's called The Happy Hour because she just sits down with a girlfriend and she asks about her life. A lot of the time the guest has, you know, a book coming out or something like that, but Jamie Ivey is very heavy on sharing your story and believing that your story has the power to do good in the lives of others. So I really, really love that message that she spreads. She interviews women of all ages. I've listened to some episodes where the girls being interviewed are younger than me, which makes me feel super old. And then she also interviews some women that, you know, have grandbabies. So it's really, really fulfilling, inspiring to listen to women from all walks of life struggling with all different kinds of things, all different kinds of upbringings. I feel like at some point during every single episode that I listen to, I find something to relate to. Not that their story is anything like mine, but it kind of just reminds us that we all have a powerful story and we've all felt the same way at some point in our lives. I will try to find and link 2 of my favorite episodes down below. One, I can't even remember the woman's name, but I'm gonna find it and link it down below because it's very powerful. She interviews a friend of hers who had an affair. She cheated on her husband. I think that one's really powerful just because how strong do you have to be to out in the open just admit to her, however many listeners she has, a gazillion, that you cheated on your husband. And then I also love the episode where she interviews Sarah May. Oh, it just says Sarah May. Okay. So I was right, Sarah May. On her episode of The Happy Hour, she talks a lot about her mom and her upbringing with a very toxic relationship with her mother. And she shares some stories about some things that her mother had said to her that I can't imagine hearing or saying. So that podcast in general just really speaks to the power of being vulnerable and sharing your story. And listening to that podcast as well is really a great way of just finding all these amazing, inspiring women, authors, moms, entrepreneurs who are all rooted in their faith to follow on Instagram and to, you know, continue to be inspired by. So that is a really great show. Highly, highly recommend it. Moving right along. I also really love to follow Audrey Rowe. She's definitely one of the more well-known people on my list. She is, if you don't know, she's married to Jeremy Roloff, the TV show Little People Big World. He's one of the twins. He's the average height twin. And I just can't get enough of following her on Instagram, mainly for her stinking kids. Her kids are so stinking cute. Not only are her kids precious and she's absolutely gorgeous, her stinking Ariel hair, but her and Jeremy both are very passionate about marriage. And if you're new to my channel, I have been married for 5 years. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. I got married when I was 18 years old, so I would say that I also am rather passionate about marriage. I don't make too much content about it, and I wish I did. I should make more content about being married. It's pretty cool. But they are very inspiring. I love their whole concept of always more. There's always more through the power of Christ within you, something Ephesians 3:20, I think. I don't really know. That's like her mantra, and she, you know, shares it on her Instagram. They created the marriage journal, which is basically just a tool to sit down with your spouse and kind of go over the week and hash out anything that needs to be hashed out. Kind of like a little mini one-on-one therapy session with no therapist, just you and your spouse. Okay. Clearly, it's not something I practice. I do love their podcast as well. I'm just so behind on their podcast. I haven't listened to recent episodes lately, but it is a really good one, and I recommend it. Jordan Lee Dooley is one that every time I read one of her captions on Instagram, I just am like, this is super ironic. Eloquence, fluent or persuasive speaking or writing. This is super ironic. I like to read her Instagram captions. They are always very long, but I always read every single stinking word. Her pictures are adorable. She has recently gone through something really, really heavy, but something that a lot of women, unfortunately, go through. And she is, again, so willing to be so vulnerable in the hopes of, you know, helping someone else who's been through anything similar to what she's been through. Jordan Lee Dooley also focuses a lot on the sort of like entrepreneur space and how to be and that you can be an entrepreneur online and, you know, self-employed and everything, and also a Christian. Like, it's possible to be both a business owner and a Christian and do it well. So I really, really enjoy following her on Instagram. She lights up my feed very nicely. A sweet, sweet girl who I have just recently found on Instagram. Her name is Nadia Thomas. Her Instagram feed is just like so pretty. Her style is just absolutely adorable. It's like the boho. She's always got a hat on. It's like what I aspire to be. Her stinking tattoo is absolutely stunning. And again, she is so vulnerable with her testimony. She talks a lot about her dad. She lost her dad this past year. She is an unbelievable picture of obedience. She moved to a new state without knowing exactly what was taking her there or exactly what she was going to do when she got there, but she felt called there, so that's what she did. She leads by faith and not by sight. I stinking love Lanissa Spoon. Her handle is Becoming Ministries. I would guess her to be someone who's very passionate about Bible literacy and actually spending time in the Word and doing your best to comprehend it and to apply it, which comprehending I've been better at lately, but applying it I still struggle with till this day. The fact that there's people like her out there who share their practical tips and their knowledge and their passion on the internet for all of us to see and judge, I am so thankful for that. She's absolutely adorable. Her and her husband are on their church's worship team together. They did a live worship session a couple of weeks ago. It just absolutely spoke to my heart. I thought it was the cutest stinking thing. Imagine like being in love with your husband and like playing music together. I love to sing. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that on my channel. I love it. For the first like 13 years of my life, probably, I thought I was going to be like a professional singer. Like, I wanted to be on American Idol. Like, I was going to get it. Turns out I suck at singing. I think I have a genuine ear. I think I can carry a tune. I have a very short range. I think I have a good ear. I'm not a good singer. I want to get a sign to put on top of my piano because my grandpa actually got me that piano, and in his old house before he passed away, their piano, they had a sign right next to their piano that said, if you can't sing good, sing loud. And now I want one so bad because I love that. So yes, Lanissa Spoon of Becoming Ministries. She does beautiful, amazing, wonderful, incredible, inspiring things, and I like to follow her on Instagram. And a beautiful soul that I actually found through Becoming Ministries is I Stand Unshaken. Her name's Zdenek Arras. She made me fall in love with yoga. That's all there is to it. I've never really super duper tried yoga before, but she is proof that you can be a Christian and love Jesus with all your heart while having yoga as your like exercise of choice. It is possible to meditate but also believe in Jesus Christ. She makes yoga videos on YouTube. I also have her Fruit of the Spirit series, which just speaks to my soul. I love the fruits of the Spirit. I think it's so interesting to learn about, and just a good list of like solid core, like this is what Jesus is, this is what you should strive to be. So she has this video series where she does a beginner yoga video and an intermediate yoga video, 2 for each fruit of the Spirit. So 18 videos, and I have yet to try an intermediate one because I'm scared. The main point of the video, it's very heavily focused on yoga. She shares a scripture at the beginning that kind of goes with each fruit of the Spirit, and she kind of gives a little bit of commentary on it later. She'll kind of like talk through it while you're just holding a very relaxing pose, nothing crazy. You're not like standing on one hand while she like talks to you. It's not that serious. It's just a really, really good flowing stretch. You're saying what yoga is. I think that there's a misconception that yoga equals sacrilegion. Is that a word? Sacrilege is a violation or misuse of what is regarded as sacred. I don't think that's what I'm trying to say. I think that people think yoga cannot equal Christianity. And I believe, feel free to disagree, but I just feel so close to Jesus when I'm doing yoga with Zdenek. So I'm like, how can that be sacrilegious? I think it's all about intent. If you do anything with ill intent or sacrilegious intent, then it's sacrilegious. But if not, it's kind of like how I feel about tattoos. I feel like if you get a tattoo in good faith and with good intentions, it's fine. I am like super duper going off on a tangent about tattoos, but if you look at that passage in Leviticus that says something to the effects of don't put a mark on your body or something like that, if you read it in context, they're talking about pagans who got tattoos to worship idols. So I look at yoga and tattoos the same way. A lot of people might feel that those things can be sacrilegious. I believe that if you do it with the correct intent, then it can be a tool to help further your relationship with Jesus. So thank you, Zdenek, for sharing your passion of yoga with me, because it's something that I've really fallen in love with. I was a dancer my entire life, and I've definitely lost a lot of my flexibility in my adult years, so yoga has definitely been helping me with that. Someone that I've only recently found on Instagram, if you're at all interested in graphic design, I would highly recommend following Brush and Barley. She shares a lot of images and graphics that she creates herself on her iPad. She uses Procreate. Weird name for an app. Her aesthetic is just gorgeous. She has an eye for graphic design and, you know, making things look pretty, but the content in what she posts as well is just absolutely. She posts a lot about the Enneagram, which actually helps me learn a lot about the Enneagram. I only know like a little bit about my own number. I'm a 2. Her personal page is absolutely gorgeous as well, and there is where she posts kind of like pictures of like her kiddos and her own like Bible journaling and selfies, things like that. So she is very inspiring. She's very talented. She has a podcast as well. I've heard a couple episodes of that. She definitely inspired me to get a little bit more creative with the thumbnails of my videos, things like that. She's very talented, and her pictures are pretty, so I like to follow her. The girl who introduced me to Christian beauty, faith, lifestyle vloggers was Malina CC Adi. Her videos quickly started speaking to me, mainly because she's from Michigan. I am also from Michigan, born and raised. She used to post quite a bit more about her faith on her YouTube channel, but then her and her husband started a podcast called As For Me and My House. It's absolutely amazing. If you listen to the podcast, they also have a Facebook group, which is the best Facebook group that I have ever been a part of. It is the most supporting, uplifting, but also while being held accountable in terms of your faith and what you claim to stand for. It's just like such a good resource community, their Facebook group. Love it. Anyway, she posts a little bit less about her faith now on her YouTube channel since most of that content kind of goes over with the podcast. But she shares a lot of home decor, which is like to die for. I want her to design my entire house because it's gorgeous. Her daughter Alethea, who is 1 year old and the cutest stinking little nugget you ever saw, and her pregnancy, she's pregnant with her second, a son, and she went to school for something early childhood education not education development or something like that. I'm not really sure. But she shares a lot about, what is it called? The Montessori. I actually did have the opportunity to meet Malina. She is the one and only YouTuber that I've ever been able to meet, because since she lives in Michigan, she had her first meet and greet about a year ago now, and I was able to go with my mom and meet her, and I met her husband Jordan as well. I actually met her the day after I graduated aesthetics school. I'll never forget this. When I walked away, as I started to walk away, Jordan said, "God bless you and your husband." He is very knowledgeable, and him and Malina both have a lot to offer this community of Christians on the internet, and also Christians making a living on the internet. I don't know if it's becoming more prevalent or if I'm just finally finding them, but there are a bunch of different YouTubers whose main focus is Jesus, and they still get sponsorships. They still are able to make a living off of YouTube. It just, I feel like it says a lot about acceptance and the fact that I don't have to be so scared to make a video about Jesus. And I'm so glad that I was able to tell Malina that when I met her last year. I was able to tell her that I've always been a Christian, but I've never made Christian-like videos, and I finally made my very first one after I found Malina's channel. And I remember talking to her about that, saying like, I'm so glad I found a YouTuber who talks about Jesus, and sometimes like makeup and like fashion and, you know, other stuff that I'm into, and she said the want for that kind of content is out there, obviously, because there were so many people there to meet her, and she has so many subscribers that it's like she's the one who had the, what's the Christian way to say this? Guts. She's the one who had the guts to put it out there that she was a Christian, and she waited until she was married. That kind of brought the, oh, there is really a want and a need for this kind of content. Relatable, but faith-based. Okay, my throat hurts. That was a lot of talking. This video is gonna suck to edit. So I'm 100% sure that that's not all of my favorite accounts. I struggled to like find all the best ones, and I didn't want to like share all the ones I follow, but it's like they're all my favorites. So, because I mean, if they weren't my favorite, then I wouldn't follow them. So that's everything for this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss any future videos of mine, and I will see you guys next time. I'm sorry, what? But, and I haven't even read her book. Fake fan. My belly just made a really weird noise. Let's get this train back on track.
Oh, stretch it out. Oh, stretch it out.
We'll also kind of go, they're talking about pig. Whatever. Okay. I need to take a nap or something. Okay. What? Why do I do it right in front of my face? And why do I do two? That was a mess.